say is the most thrilling and exciting thing that you've done?
A couple summers ago, I went ziplining in Hawaii.
And why did you choose to do this activity?
It's something that not many people can say that they've done. It was exciting. It got my adrenaline pumping. It was just a really good time.
What would you say is the most adventurous thing you've ever done?
Skiing down a trail filled with moguls.
And why did you choose to do this?
I love being outside, and I love skiing, so I was looking to challenge myself.
What is the most adventurous thing you've done?
The most adventurous thing that I have done is I belayed down a waterfall in Hawaii.
Why did you do this thrill-seeking adventure?
I decided to belay down a waterfall because I really like water sports, such as surfing and wakeboarding, so I wanted to try something new, and this was one thrill-seeking adventure that I had never tried that I wanted to try in Hawaii because I had the opportunity and time to.
Most adventurous thing you've ever done?
I went ziplining across the coast of an island in the Bahamas.
And why did you choose to do this?
I was on a cruise during my senior year, and we all just wanted to do something fun, so.
What's the most adventurous thing you've ever done?
The most adventurous thing I've ever done is gone to surf camp here in Australia.
And why did you do this?
It's because I'm not very comfortable in water, and so I went to do something that kind of was out of my comfort zone, and it seemed really fun. So, went in Australia, I guess.
Partaking in extreme or challenging adventure is something not most people opt to do. However, thrill seekers and adrenaline junkies go to the most daring and dangerous places to attempt the riskiest behaviors they can find. Australia is one of those places where people can come to seek these types of adventures in order to fulfill their desires. As you can see through these clips, all these adventures take place in natural environments that can provide the necessary risks and thrills that these people are seeking. People like Eric Breimer have done research to explore how thrill seekers connect with nature themselves through risk-taking behavior.
My study, well, the initial study, because we've done quite a few since the initial one, was really about the most extreme sports. At that time, it was things like base jumping and big wave surfing, climbing without ropes, and so forth. And what we found very much was that we're looking at people who have a profound understanding of the environment that they're working in, a profound understanding of the activity that they're undertaking, and of course they need to have a really good understanding of themselves and their own capabilities and capacities to do. Because in the end, if you're standing on the edge of a cliff and you're about to jump off, if you're a base jumper, you don't really understand what you're capable of, or you haven't read the environment very well, then the ultimate outcome is death. So the knowledge is really, really important. So what we find is, rather than people who are desperate to take thrills and so forth, is we find people who are after an experience that is can't get in any other way or in any other aspect of life. Many people talk about it in terms that it's very similar to mindfulness, very similar to that kind of experience that is beyond the everyday. And in fact, one of the most unique things we found, the things we least expected, was this real deep connection with the natural world and an aspect of the experience that people had no words for, which is part of the challenge when you're trying to talk about these experiences to people who haven't had the experiences. The real essence of it is something that cannot be put into words.
Culturally, Australia is known for its amazing beaches and locations for scuba diving. This has influenced people to travel to locations such as the Great Barrier Reef to face the depths and dangers of the deep oceans. However, globally speaking, places with colder climates can partake in different cultural sporting events such as mountain skiing, bobsledding, or snowmobiling. The thrill-seeking events you do depends on the culture you immerse yourself into. The more the culture shares their beautiful landscapes and gives adrenaline junkies the opportunity to do risky and challenging activities, the more they can appreciate and get involved with that culture. For instance, in the US, Nick Wallenda is well known for his terrifying tightrope walking trips over monumental areas such as the Grand Canyon and Niagara Falls. He was able to use the environment around him to experience his passion at all new levels.
There are many reasons as to why adrenaline junkies choose to do the activities that can put their lives at risk. One of the main reasons is because of the effect these activities have on the human body. In an article written by Jenna Stadsvold, adrenaline is secreted by adrenal glands in times of major excitement or stress and can cause many changes in our bodies. For example, blood flow, digestion, and pain sensitivity are suppressed, while your heart rate and blood pressure are heightened. It has been described as the feeling of a jump start that surges throughout your body in that one instant. Adrenaline gives us a temporary rush of heightened sensations, and that's why thrill seekers pursue adventure and new experiences to chase that feeling. It has said to induce non-ordinary states of consciousness that give the participants a sense of power and meaning. For example, base jumpers talk about being able to see all the colors and nooks and crannies of the rock as they zoom past the 300 km/h, or extreme climbers feel like they are floating and dancing with the rock. People talk about time slowing down and merging with nature. Although I myself may never consider thrill-seeking adventures, I can see why one would feel or persuaded to do so.
Watching these things, Nick, is that you walk across that wire like you're walking to the bus stop or to the Starbucks. You are so calm, cool, and collected. Was there really never a moment that you felt a little fear, that your heart rate went up just a little bit?
You know, there's no time for fear. I have to stay focused on what I'm doing. If I let fear enter into my body, then that's when an accident can happen. So I try to just remain very positive and very focused and train properly. It's really about training and preparation, knowing that I'd be successful making this walk. I would have never taken that first step if I wasn't fully confident.
Those who partake in thrill-seeking adventures believe they are more than just adrenaline junkies. Eric Breimer discovered through his research that people who engage in extreme sports are anything but irresponsible risk-takers with a death wish. They are highly trained individuals with a deep knowledge of themselves. The activity and the environment who do it have an experience that is life-enhancing and life-changing. To thrill seekers, these risky behaviors enrich their lives by allowing them to see into what it means to be a human. These experiences allow people to truly believe they have lived their best life. According to Frank Varley, he believes it's the excitement. It makes things interesting, keeps you going. When this life is over, you want to be able to look back and say, I lived. As Helen Keller once said, life is a daring adventure, or it is nothing. An example of one of these types of people, Alan Robert, otherwise known as the French Spider-Man, expresses how climbing buildings is something that defines him and his lifestyle.
And finally, by the age of 11, I have climbed my parents' building. I was not having my keys. I was having to go back home. My parents were living on the 7th floor, and I have decided that I was going to make it.
And did that cure you immediately, or was it something that took a few years to get around? You just knew you could do it. Were you still scared?
Well, actually, when I was doing it, I didn't really think much about whether I was afraid or not. It was just like it became spontaneous. Like, for example, before an ascent, like 3 weeks ago, I cannot tell you that I am not afraid because deep down I am. I just know that once I'm going to start to do the ascent, I'm going to be completely focused. And then I am going to forget about everything except climbing.
But why do it without any assistance, Alain, unless you wanted to have the ultimate thrill, the fear of perhaps dying? Because you have no ropes, you have no harnesses, you have nothing fixing you to the building. It's just your hands and your feet. Why do it that way?
This is what is interesting for me. For example, I told many times to the journalist that if I was having some wings, I wouldn't climb because I'm not really interested in sports. I am interested in doing something that is requiring a little bit of, let's say, a little madness, but most of all, there is that desire to achieve something. So it's like floating in between life and death. But there again, I'm always trying to work on calculated risk. I've been training for decades and decades, so this is pretty much my whole life, and actually I'm still alive.